And I was always like, can we listen to something that has a singer? Like, I want some words. Give me like a story or a rhyme or something. Like,
hello, Songbird. Get excited because today we are talking about all things audition tips and pop and rock styling for musical theatre with my very special guest, vocal coach, musical director, and host of the incredible Studying the Song podcast, Korrie Yamaoka. Hello, Korrie. Thank you so much for joining me today.
hi, Kerri. Thank you for having me. I am so excited to have this conversation.
Oh, you have no idea how excited I am too. So, Korrie, could you take us back to the beginning? Because, as Julie Andrews likes to say, the beginning is a very good place to start. Tell us, what was your first, memory of when musical theatre just really stole your heart?
Oh my gosh. I remember being 5 years old and I was obsessed with the film of Oklahoma. Like, every time I was sick and I stayed home from school, that's what I watched. I had a huge crush on Gordon McRae, who played Curly. I loved all of the dances. I loved the dream ballet, all of the outfits. Like, that was my jam. And my mom was really into musicals, so we had a lot of musicals that were like taped on from the VCR, the TV. I'm like really dating myself here. But that was really my first memory of musical theater, was watching that film. So it began at an early age.
Yes. And so, from that point on and really discovering how much you love musical theatre, what then actually took you on the path to be, basically all the things that you are today, a very successful vocal coach, musical director, and, you're a specialist essentially in musical theatre stylings and history. How did that all come about? I
think I always knew that I wanted to do music. So I studied piano and took lessons all through elementary, junior high, high school. When I was in high school, I joined every music group that I could at school. And we did a couple musicals in high school that I was in the pit for. Then I didn't think much of it, that I was going to do anything with it, but I did go on to major in music at San Diego State University. And again, I was studying classical piano, but I was also songwriting and performing out in the songwriter scene here. And I kind of got roped in by accident by a teacher who was the head of the opera program. And she needed accompanists. And she was like, hey, do you want to come play for a production of whatever it was, Gondoliers, Gilbert and Sullivan or something? And I said yes. And then I realized that I really liked working with vocalists way more than accompanying, instrumentalists, which I had also done while I was there. And I think that once that happened, I just kept getting steered towards musical theater. And once I graduated, I kind of got steered into doing children's musical theater for summer camp. And then someone was like, oh, we need somebody to do, I don't know, I think it was Into the Woods at a community theater. So I started doing that. And it just kept, unfolding in front of me without me having to try very hard. But I always loved musical theater, so it also felt natural. I had a sense of what it was. And then I think the big sort of commitment to it, I learned about the MFA program at San Diego State. And I was like, I went to San Diego State. I still live in San Diego. I need to apply for this program. So I went to grad school, and that was really okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm specializing in and where I'm going to, make my life.
I love that. It just sounds like you pretty much followed your bliss, followed your curiosity. Other people also saw it in you and gave you opportunities. And here you are today, which is so incredible. What was it about working with vocalists in particular that made you go, oh, I actually really love that more than being an accompanist?
I think because I love singing, first of all.
Yes.
And I like story and lyrics because I also, as a writer, I write lyrics and poetry. And I did that for years and years. Separate from doing piano, I would write poetry and then I would write songs. And I just felt like that made more sense to me. I kind of have this random story. I once dated a guy who loved jazz, which I love jazz. And we would listen to a lot of instrumental jazz. And I was always like, can we listen to something that has a singer? I want some words. Give me a story or a rhyme or something, a voice to follow. And he never seemed to care to have a voice. And to me, that's part of the magic, or it is the magic. So I think that's why I like
absolutely.
working with singers. Just the idea that you can tell a literal story of a character, but you also have just the expression of human emotion coming through.
Yeah. Absolutely with you there. For me, I'm exactly the same. Like, as much as it's nice to listen to instrumental music, I just can't listen to it for too long. Yep. I need to be able to sing along to someone, or listen to their vocal and be analysing what they're doing vocally and stuff like that. I think we're both vocal nerds, so we kind of get each other. Songbird, if you want more than just bite-sized lessons on random singing topics, and you truly would like to have a step-by-step process to follow that would help you master your voice in the most quickest way possible, if you would like to learn not just what exercises to practice, but in what order, in which exact range, and the best way to progress them each day, each week, each month, each year, and beyond. If you would like to be given specific daily workouts that you could work on every single day, being guided as to how long you should practice each day, and when it's time to actually move on to more difficult workouts, if you want to progress from where you are as a singer now to becoming the singer that you've always dreamed of, then I invite you, Songbird, go and check out the Songbird Tree Vocal Academy, where you can get access to all of my vocal training programs. Plus, I add new content every single month. And guess what? I'm going to let you check all that out for free for the next 7 days. I've made this the most affordable and, dare I say, comprehensive and best library of vocal training ever. There's my foundational course, The Vocal Revolution, which teaches you everything you need to know about vocal technique and takes you from beginner to advanced. There's also my incredible supplementary courses, for example, my How to Sing in Mixed Voice programs, where you can zero in on a particular topic or a particular part of your voice. There's the webinars and masterclasses, where you get an intensive 30-minute to 90-minute booster on a particular focused subject. There's also the guided exercises and extras, where I give you intensive boosters, but in 5 to 15 minutes, also on a specific topic. And there is so much more. All of this to help you get grounded, take flight, and sing. Songbird, I'm always believing in you, and I just can't wait to see you inside the Songbird Tree Vocal Academy. Click on the link to start your 7-day free trial now. Now, Korrie, nowadays as a vocal coach, you obviously work with many musical theatre actors and help them in the audition process. Mm-hmm. I'd like to know, do you kind of have like a, success story of someone that you've actually helped that really stands out in your mind that you could share with us?
Oh gosh, you should have sent this one to me beforehand, because now I have to come up with this on the spot.
There's too many?
No, I feel like I guess there was somebody recently who was really an actor singer. And I love working with actor singers because they bring so much of embodying the character, right? And for them to be able to add vocal technique, I just think is so easy. So it's just a matter of giving them some ideas about elongating the vowel, singing something more at a whisper, just some of that kind of stuff. Right. And it totally transformed his way of performing the song. And he was auditioning for a show at the La Jolla Playhouse, and he got the show. So that's a recent,
that's definitely amazing success story.
Yeah, a good success story. Yeah. And I like when I can see the transformation. I think we all find that really gratifying as teachers.
Absolutely.
But I also try not to get hung up on that, because it's a process. It's a process of discovering how to access these sounds in our voice. And it doesn't always happen within a single lesson or even a couple. So,
right. So what would be the main differences of when you're working with someone who, you sort of call an actor-singer? Is that how you termed it?
I did.
Where they don't see themselves as a singer, really. They see themselves primarily as an actor. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then what about the opposite as well, where someone who's I'm actually not really an actor, but I can sing. I'm a singer.
Yeah.
What are the differences in approaches there?
So with a singer, I don't know why in musical theater there's this slash system. You're a singer or an actor singer or a dancer, right? That's separate, but
so another story for another day.
Exactly. So the people that come to it as a singer first, they're very concerned, I find, about their tone. They usually have a lot of control over their, their agility and their resonance and their vocal colors and things like that. I find that their struggle, even though they're so beautiful in their singing, is to allow the emotion to come into their performance and maybe disrupt some of the stuff they've worked out with how they want to sing it. And when we're acting in musical theater, the story is the thing. Like, that's the number one priority, right?
That's so good.
And you have to allow whatever that character's going through to affect your voice. And I find that it will actually help you access parts of your voice, and that we can try to, like, for example, if we're belting or singing in a high mix and we're just trying to technically do it, it has a certain sound. But when you attach it to a need for, I have to warn this person, or I need to get my want across to them, then all of a sudden we know that our voice just naturally pitches at a higher level in order to warn or to convince. And so you can find yourself actually singing with more ease when you attach the emotion. So I think for singers, it's learning to let go of technique and follow their emotional journey. Whereas the opposite with actor singers that come to it from that, they're used to knowing what the objective is that they want in that song. My character needs to convince this person to, I don't know, release them from something, or I need to make this person commit to being with me by the end of this song, whatever their objective is. And they attach all these great action verbs to all of their singing phrases. But what they can do is they make everything really conversational. So they start chewing all of their words, and they shorten the length of their words, so they're not singing into their vowels very much. And so what happens to them is they feel like they're not a good singer because they're like kind of disrupting their vocal mechanism, and they're usually really expressive in their face. And so that's changing their vowel shapes, and then their intonation goes, it's like a domino effect, right? So for them, I feel like it's allowing them to trust the music to do some of the acting work for them. You know, if a song is written really well, the melody helps tell the story just on its own. And if you just really sing it as a singer, you don't have to try to bring all that powerful acting to it. So I think those are the kind of two different approaches. And something I try to identify with singers right away is like, where are they more comfortable? On what side of that are they more comfortable? And then how do I balance them in the other direction?
That's fantastic. Yeah. So it sounds like most people will come to you sort of skewed towards one end or the other.
Yeah.
And then your job is to kind of go, instead of like, bring back the balance. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. And I loved what you said about story being paramount. Because, when I sort of consider, singing musical theatre styles, it's, what's more important? Is it the acting? Is it the singing? And at the end of the day, they're both important. From what you're telling me right now, I feel like they're both important. They have to be balanced. But at the end of the day, storyline, like that is so important. And that's whether you're expressing that, just letting the music express that, as you were saying, for someone who is an actor singer, or, whether it's a singer who really needs to sort of get more in touch with their emotions. That's fantastic. Now, with this person that you helped, basically nail the audition because they got the part, what was, some of your main tips that you actually gave him in terms of how do you actually shine in your audition?
That's a good question. Okay, let me think. So for this person, and I mentioned it before, it was all about using your vowels and knowing, I find it like talking about diphthongs is usually pretty revelatory. And I'm sure your watchers, your viewers and listeners know about that. But when you have a word that has two vowel sounds next to each other, or more than two, even just like sky, right? The word sky has an ah and an e, right? Sky. When we speak, we say them so quickly, we don't have to think about it. But when we sing, we extend our vowel. And then you have to make a choice. Am I going to extend the ah or the e? And you make different choices depending on what style you're singing, right? In musical theater, I feel like just reminding people, extend the first vowel, sky, and put the little e right at the end. And it's amazing how just that simple reminder can clear up somebody's resonance because they keep trying to sing sky and they're like closing down,
closing
right?
everything off. Yeah.
And I'm like, you're just interrupting your whole flow of your voice by doing that.
Yeah.
Now, unless you're doing a pop song, sky, and you want to like go on to that E as a part of it. I don't know a lot of pop songs that have the word sky at the end of a line, but you know, whatever it is.
We got your point.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say that was a big one for him.
Yes.
Elongating the vowel, the first vowel in the diphthong, especially. Another one is about, you know, here's the thing. When we rehearse, we know our song inside and out, as you should, right? You want to be totally prepared. But sometimes when we sing, it's easy to forget that we're supposed to be living in this moment as if it's happening for the first time for that character, right?
Yeah, that's good.
They're not singing a song to you. They're saying the words on their heart and they're trying to say them, like they're discovering them as they're saying them. So I told him, I said, can this just be harder for you to say? Because he was talking about a memory of his wife that had passed away in the song.
Right.
And I'm like, you're not okay with this. Like, this should be difficult for you to formulate. You're still figuring out how to say these feelings. And so when you're performing it right now, it feels like you already know the next word that's coming. So search for those words a little bit more. Search for the emotional steadiness to be able to admit that this is how you're feeling. And he's like such a good actor. He was already bringing so much. But what was great about this was then I said, so what does that mean musically for how you're going to sing it? And I thought, I said, imagine you're sort of suspended in time as you say this first thing. Like you're caught in this memory. I think it was, what was he singing? It was something from 9. In a very unusual way. He was singing in a very unusual way. And instead of like launch in a very unusual, right? Like launching into it, it was like suspend it and make it piano, how you're singing that. And it just all connected with like, it's hard to formulate these things. You're not ready to talk about your dead wife. That's why you're saying it very softly. So I would say that was another kind of tack we were taking to improve his performance.
That is so brilliant, because I've always wondered, how do, you know, musical theatre artists do this? Like 8 shows a week, they're literally singing the same songs 8 times a week. You know, how do they go to that place of really, okay, I'm actually doing this for the very first time. I'm actually my character. I'm expressing what I'm feeling right now in the moment. I think you just answered that question. Brilliant stuff.
It's so hard, but that's what the job is to rediscover it every night. And you know what's interesting? I just interviewed, which is going to be coming out on the podcast in September. I just interviewed Tom O'Leary, who played the Phantom on Broadway for like over 3 years.
Amazing.
And I was like, Tom, and he did it on tour, right? So I was like, how did you sing that show over and over? And he said, you know, I must have sung with like 7 or 8 different Christines, because people get, you know, replaced over the course of a run. Yeah. So you're always like discovering how it is to sing with that new scene partner and reacting to them. Like you can't just do it your own way every time, right? I was like,
that's so true.
I never thought about that. So that was just another sort of tidbit to answer that. Like, how do we keep it fresh? Well, you have fresh people that are in the show with you too.
Yep. Absolutely. Now, Korrie, I actually first came across you when you were doing an Insta Live with our fellow colleague, Melissa V. Cartwright. And, you know, basically you had me at hello. Like from that point on, I was like, I'm onto the podcast. I'm going to listen to I am going to catch up on all of these, you know, podcast episodes.
So
and basically you've been in my earbuds at least once a week for the past several, I don't know how many weeks since I discovered you. It's your podcast is called Studying the Song, and you say something really powerful at the beginning. So in the intro of every podcast, you say something along the lines of talent and passion are only the beginning. I believe that there is freedom in preparation, and when you put in the work, practice the skill and do the research, something amazing happens. Can you unpack that a little bit more for us? Like, what do you actually mean, and what is that something amazing that happens?
So I love process. I love rehearsal. And I know some people aren't as much about that. They want to get to the performance and the final product. And I really think that rehearsal, preparing, research, all of this is like, it's so powerful because you can explore options for how you want to sing something, right? You can explore the different personal, emotional stories that you're going to attach. You can try different things out. And then when you are so prepared, you can get onto that stage, and then you can sort of like let the effort go, kind of. Yeah. And you've already worked through all these different iterations, and you can see what happens in that moment, and they can just happen naturally because you've already practiced them over and over. Yes. And so you can surrender to the moment better when you're prepared. That's what the magic is, I think, that happens. And I feel like I've come across so many people that are just not prepared enough. And they feel like, I know how to sing that song. I have the words memorized. I'm like, but have you really like listened to different versions of this song? Have you explored different, action verbs that you're going to attach to these different phrases and all of that? And do you know like the history of where this song came from, and why is this important in the musical theater canon, and what is the style that you should be performing it with, and why is that, and why should you not put a riff in this song, maybe, right? Or maybe you can, or maybe this is the perfect song to put a riff, and this is like a great opportunity. And knowing all of that just like makes you so much more confident as a performer. It allows you to go out there and just say, here's the line, like this is the box that the song is in, but within this box, I still have all these little things I can do, right? Yeah. Instead of feeling like you're going out and like there's so many options that could happen, you have no idea, you haven't tried them out, you don't know really about the song. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Preparation is key, and over prepare, and then in the moment you can let go of it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that so much. And I guess, because you've been on audition panels as well, right? So I'm guessing you pick it up straight away when someone really has done the work.
Yes.
And you can tell that they've done the research and everything.
And you can tell when, like, I've played a lot of auditions as the pianist, and people will come over and I don't know, it's like poorly marked, or they don't really know what the tempo of the song should be according to like common practice, or people will come in and I'll be coaching them and they won't know what all the words mean in a song. If it's like an older song that has like a period kind of reference, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, oh, I don't really know. I'm like, how can you not know? This is your character's words. You need to know the own words that are coming out of your mouth. So that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's pretty easy to see when people don't understand the context of the song and the character and all of that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, sure. So how do you go about finding out all that stuff? Like, where do you start when you're researching a character? Is it just Google? Or what?
I feel like Google is the answer to everything right now. So I mean, you've got to read the script. You have to read the script if you can. Okay. Now, the tricky thing is that scripts are not always available. And so there's sort of this like, back pirating kind of like bootleg circuit of where people are like trading scripts with each other. So maybe I shouldn't be promoting that, but
it's like you didn't hear that from Korrie.
Right. If there's any way possible, read the script, know everything that happens to your character, know the story, right? And then also be able to give a really compact summary, read summaries of it. If you can't find the script, then you have to read a lot of summaries.
Yes.
Wait, what was this question? Where do you start with knowing the context? Okay.
Research.
Research it. You can go to ibdb.com. You know how there's IMDb for Internet Movie Database? There's the Internet Broadway database, IBDB. Type in.
I know that. This is gold.
Oh my gosh. This is like where I get everything. Les Miserables. Right. You'll get all the different Broadway productions. You can click on the original. It'll give you everybody that was on the creative team of that, down to like the dance arrangers and the, like the music supervisor and all these things that you wouldn't think about. It'll give you the opening night cast. It'll give you the songs that were in that show. So that's a great resource just for information.
Yeah.
And then I think listening to original Broadway cast recordings is huge.
Yes.
But not listening to the point where you can only make the choices that you heard so-and-so make on the recording.
Okay.
Listening to other people sing the songs so you can kind of see like what choices they're making. So I think that is the kind of research that I would suggest.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I think when you actually get, you know, the context of the story and you maybe understand what happened before this song, like the song you're about to sing, what was the scene that happened before the song and actually what happens after.
Yeah.
It kind of helps you to make those your own choices, doesn't it? Rather than just mimicking a Broadway recording or whatever.
Yes. I think.
Do you think?
Yeah. When you said it's easy to tell, like, right, if people are.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, there's a dog barking in the background. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Can you hear the dog?
I can hear
Oh my gosh.
That's okay. He's excited about musical theatre as well, you know, whatever.
I think the easiest way to tell when someone isn't prepared in an audition where they don't know the context of the song is that they start the song and they don't have a clear, like, emotional place that they're starting from. They're like listening to the piano and they're nodding their head, but they don't have a sense of like the immediate moment that just happened in the story.
Yeah.
Because every single song in musical theater, like something happened to make you sing. I'm sure you've heard the phrase that like when our emotions are too much to have dialogue, we sing. And when there's too many emotions to sing, we dance. That's like a totally paraphrased version of it. But acting elevates into singing, and singing then elevates into just pure dance, physical expression, which is a really cool thing to think about. So if you don't know the scene, like I gave an example on the podcast recently that like in the show Footloose, if people don't know it, it's about a bunch of kids in a town that like are going crazy and they want to dance with each other, but it's a really conservative town. And the pastor, the main minister, doesn't want these kids to dance, but his own daughter is one of the people that is wanting to do this. And at one point he raises his hand to hit his own daughter, this minister. And it's like this shocking moment. You see like how far he's fallen. And then the wife, the girl runs off and the wife sings a song. And you cannot sing that song to your scene partner, who's your husband, without knowing the fact that he almost struck your own daughter.
Yeah.
And where is your marriage now? And how do you feel about him?
Yes.
But you're also a minister's wife and you have to be supportive and you have duties, right? Like all of that has to come into play.
Wow.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That is just so powerful. Oh my goodness. Good. Oh, I've got so many questions. I wish we could talk all day.
Lay them out.
Korrie, let's talk pop and rock styling for musical theatre.
Okay.
What's a sort of current musical that's actually on stage at the moment, playing at the moment, that you would say this is actually quite important for? And what are your tips on how do we actually practice, pop and rock styling, especially if we sort of have more of a legit background or classical training background? Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a million shows that are out right now that are pop rock. I feel like it's become the ubiquitous style. Jagged Little Pill based on the album of Alanis Morissette, which was like my album. I like
your jam?
Listened to it front to back. I knew every lyric of every song. So, So Jagged Little Pill is one thing. That's like 90s and 2000s rock. And then you've got something like Hadestown, which is jazz and folk and blues, which I would still put in the pop rock realm. Yeah. It's not legit, not classical. Yeah. And then you've got something like Moulin Rouge, which is very top 40 radio hits. It's very pop oriented. And they all need something a little bit different for those styles. I think the number one most important thing for anybody trying to sing pop rock music is to be listening to it. And you cannot sing a style unless you have it in your ear. Like you can't, I can't communicate to you what Alanis Morissette sounds like by just describing it to you. Like you have to go listen to her sing, and then you get like, oh, she does this weird like crack warble thing with her voice and flips into head voice, right? And you're like, well, that sounds like a terrible idea. until you listen to her do it. And you're like, she's so in pain that her voice is cracking, not like literal pain, but like emotional pain.
Yes. Yes.
So I think you have to listen. And I hear so many people, I'm like, I ask, like, so what kind of music do you listen to? What kind of like artists, or what's in your, it used to be iPod or CD player, but like what's in your Spotify playlist right now? And it's all musical theater. I'm like, you're not going to get better at singing pop rock if you're only listening to musical theater. Yeah. And even if you're listening to pop rock musical theater, you're still not going to get better at it. So you must listen. You must listen.
Yes.
And then I think what's different. I have an episode where I talk about like what are we really changing in our voice when we're changing styles. And whenever we're singing, we've got 3 parts. It's just like a story. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end to every note, right? We have an attack or an onset. We have the sustain or the duration, and then we have the release. And with legit or musical theater or classical, it's all kind of the same basic attack that you want, or the same, 3 elements. For attack, you don't want a super glottal attack. Maybe once in a while for clarity of lyric, but you don't want to rely on that. You don't want an aspirate attack either. Like, hey, or hey has an H on it, so you have to say that. Hi, like if you're saying I, you don't put an H on it.
Got it.
And once you go to the pop world, like all of that is different. You can use glottal attacks and you need to, and you can use aspirate attacks and you need to. So going through and sort of allowing yourself, I hate the idea, I don't want to use the word sloppy, but to change all of the refined things that you do with your voice and let them become a little bit sloppier. But it's not sloppy. Like some people say like, oh, well, for singing rock music, just make your diction more sloppy. And I'm like, that's not true. Because if you listen to rock singers, they have very specific choices that they're making. Their vowel may be shaped differently. Like the way they sustain a note, they may not sustain the first vowel of a diphthong, right? They may not use vibrato. They're going to use straight tone, or they'll use a breathier tone, or they may even get a more distorted tone or strident. And so it's not just like, oh, we don't have any consonants and blah, 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 right? You make your mouth mushy and soft. It's just a different set of parameters that we have to learn is really all it is. And then when you release, I think in musical theater and legit stuff, it's all about having like a strong final consonant so that we understand what your final word is, right? Like night. Make sure you put the T on night, right? But and especially in jazz, I think, but in all rock singing, there's a bunch of different ways you can release. You can release where you almost don't even hear the last word, the last consonant. It just kind of diminuendos. You can sing into an N. I don't know, like what's moon? Like sing into the N of moon. Or I was just listening to like Ella Fitzgerald the other day, and it's all about singing into your consonants throughout the whole song. But also in pop singing, you can like release with a breath. Right. And that's something that's like really weird if you're a classical singer to
You've been told that all your life, do not do.
Like that sound or a crack or a whine release. And I think those things, like they get brought into musical theater when it's a pop or a rock show, but it can be very strange to let yourself do that if you're not used to doing that. So I think those are some of the things that I would sort of bring up with people.
Absolute gold, Korrie. And actually reminded me, like recently I was actually looking at the version of the song This Is Me from The Greatest Showman and comparing Kesha's version, which is more of a pop rock style, and Kiala, right? And actually everything that you just said, it is just ringing true, because with Kesha's style, there's a lot more of those, kind of effects, breath release, on the offset and the creaks and the squeaks and the whines and stuff. So it's just really resonating. That's fantastic.
Good.
Awesome. Now, you talk a lot in your podcast about having an audition book. Could you explain briefly what that is and why that's important?
Sure. I forget, like, your audience is not musical theater only. Like, they're pop singing, they're jazz singing, they're gospel singing, right? So for musical theater, you put together an audition book. And this is basically like a set of songs that you sing. You choose a song from this audition book when you're going to go in and audition. You do not pick a new song every time you're going to go and audition for something, right? Like, that would drive a person crazy. It could drive a person crazy. That's from Company, if anybody likes the show Company. So what you do is you try to cover like a variety of musical styles in your book so that you have something that's in the style of whatever show you're auditioning for. So if it's a pop rock show, you need something that tells them like, oh, she can sing with those choices that we were just talking about. If it's a golden age musical like Oklahoma or Cinderella, like you need a song where you're singing like that so that they can imagine you in the show. The audition book is to help the director and the casting director imagine you singing the score of the show and acting the journey of whatever character you're going to play in the show. So you want a variety of pieces from different musical styles. And then I also like, and I don't think people talk about this enough, but you want a variety of emotional moments that you're showcasing. You don't want every single song to be you belting your face off and like defying gravity, right? I mean, I love defying gravity. I love standing up for what I believe in. And I love like leaving the world behind. But there are other emotions in life than that. And
absolutely
in theater, like you're telling stories and people are experiencing loss and they're grieving or they're falling in love or they're partying with their girlfriends and they're just having a good time. So like have a variety of emotional moments that you would have as a person also in your book. Yeah,
absolutely. And I guess also what that then encapsulates is it actually shows off you as a singer in terms of all of the different vocal qualities as well. Like you said, if all you did was just belt your face off, as impressive as that may be, it does get a bit old after a while. It's like, what else do you have in your voice? Like, can you actually sing softly?
Yes.
You know, because it actually often takes a lot more vocal control to actually sing softly and stay on pitch and, you know, all that kind of jazz. Yeah.
So, showing range, right? Like not singing high for everything. Can you show that you're a good singer and that you can actually sing quietly or low in your voice? I was listening to, I was watching Kennedy Center Honors of Shirley MacLaine, and she was in the show Sweet Charity, the film version of Sweet Charity. And there's a song in that called If My Friends Could See Me Now. And, you know, that show's like a dance show. You have to be a really good dancer. It's not necessarily a vocally flashy kind of score. And the original actress that did it on Broadway didn't have a huge range, but she had a lot of personality. But at the Kennedy Center Honors, the gal who came out and sang a bit of this song as an honor to Shirley MacLaine was Patina Miller. Patina Miller was just the star in Pippin, and she was a woman who is actually reinventing the role in Pippin that was usually played by a man. Anyway, she's a really fierce, amazing singer. And she comes out and sings, If They Could See Me Now. Kind of like jaunty, kind of marchy, and everything was right between like middle C and G. Nothing flashy. I think maybe it was in the key of D flat, so it went up to A flat. But there was nothing flashy about it. But by the way that she supported her voice, the intention of of her diction, the eye contact that she was giving, the way that she held her body, you could just tell she was a consummate professional. Like, I don't need to hear you sing a huge high note in order for me to know that you are a good singer with vocal control. So I love that lesson because show us variety, show us range, have your book show a variety of vocal colors so that we see that you're multifaceted.
Yep. Oh, love it so much. So it sounds like the audition book is an absolute crucial foundational element of the preparation that you do, hey?
It is.
As a musical theatre artist. Yeah, brilliant. So, Korrie, you've shared a lot of, very practical tips on auditioning and also pop and rock styling for musical theatre. Do you have any specific encouragement that you'd like to offer to singers around the globe, from your heart, to encourage them?
Yeah, I do. I feel like something that has become like a mission of mine is helping people see what uniqueness they bring to the table. And that, like, as an artist, like, I have also been on this journey of like trying to figure out, like, what do I have to offer? What is my special combination of skills and strengths and interests that I have? And why should I say something when there's a million other people that are singing or doing a podcast or performing in a show, right? What do I have to contribute? And I just want to tell all the singers that are watching and listening that you have something really special to contribute. You're the only person on earth that is you, the only one. You're the only person that's gone through this life and seen things that you've seen, been raised by the people you've been raised by, right? You have your own vocal signature. Like, everybody's vocal cords produce a slightly different identifying sound wave, and that's how we can understand, like, this person sounds different from that person. Like, you're physically unique, right? You're vocally unique, you're experientially unique, and you have something unique to bring to the table. And the other thing I would say is that the table is endless. And I feel like that's something I have struggled to figure out for myself. It's like, are there enough seats? Am I allowed to try to sit down at this table? Who am I? Like, all of the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome. Like, no, the table's endless. There's room for everybody. And just because I take a seat doesn't mean somebody else's seat gets taken out. Just because somebody over there, like, has this beautiful voice doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to contribute. So I think, like, enjoy discovering what makes your voice really special and what songs you connect with really special, and do that. And don't worry, like, if you don't sound like Kiala or Kesha or, Whitney Houston or Idina Menzel or whoever it is, like, those people are all themselves. They have their unique voice. You have to be your own. So that would be my word of encouragement. Just know that you're totally special, totally unique, and you have a seat at the table.
Wow, I've just received that. That was so beautiful. Songbirds, if you were encouraged by that, you honestly need to go and check out all of Korrie's incredible work. Go and check out KorrieYamaoka.com, and also her incredible podcast. Did I say her podcast is incredible? Studying the Song. And you can follow her on Instagram as well. All of her links and all of her information is in the description box below. Korrie, it has been seriously the most fun and amazing and enlightening time to have with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me and Songbirds around the globe.
Thank you for having me.
And you know what? If you want to get more confident for your auditions, right, and really just make sure your vocal technique is up to scratch, please go and take my 7-day free trial of the Songbird Tree Vocal Academy, where you get to access all of my online training programs for free for 7 days.